My name's Kiran. I'm from Mumbai. I have done my master's in politics from the University of Mumbai, and I've done a diploma in community-based participatory action research from Pukar and TIS. So I have a academic background in that. I had this like somehow when I thought of applying for the UFP, it was majorly for wanting to just try it out and see what's there and maybe, in the process of application itself. But also by that time, till while my masters was getting over and the work that I'd done before, so it somehow felt like the dots, like even in my interview, I felt like the dots, like the work that I had done before, or what my interests were in the things I studied, they were aligning together in the urban issues and urban area, and so I had a few interests that I wanted to work on, and they were there in the in the electives, and I mean majorly like the structure of the program, and okay, that would be something intensive and comprehensive, so that was one of the reasons. Like during the interview part itself, I was asked like having having a certain experience or a certain amount of skills before, and then what new would I want to learn, or whether some of the things that UFE would teach would be challenging for me, and I was just majorly curious that what it entailed and. Of that, and just the structure that I'd seen on the website or from what I'd heard around. So that part that it would be very interdisciplinary. So wanting to work or learn with people from different sectors and see different perspectives. So that was one thing that I wanted to get to know different perspectives of people from different disciplines and sectors, and how it could get to like that interdisciplinary word that stuck with me majorly. And I was like majorly curious how that would act out in these all of these months through the electives or through and what skills I would get to learn. So I had this thing that okay, I have a qualitative a qualitative research kind of a background, but I wanted to like maybe GIS or quantitative, or understand how planners, architects think, or just think, or also the aspect of various people coming together, so sharing of lived experience, about lived experiences and all. So it's like okay, there'll be a community feeling hopefully there. That was an expectation that there was there. Throughout, like from the foundation, the commons, the way it was structured and all, um, and the way the faculty, each of the faculty differently uh, gave examples of the way of teaching. uh, it gave a lot of insight into how even people different, so in the interdisciplinary part, how different people from disciplines would come together and have a collaborative approach. So even in the case studies, or the kind of examples we gave, or the kind of group activities we had, and there was exchange of how we would maybe approach a certain situation, how we would deal with it, what major concerns could just a brainstorming sessions itself. That was that was pretty much where it started also to to for those expectations to be met. Like okay, yes, I am learning, I'm seeing those different perspectives, I'm seeing that kind of a thing. And then slowly, I guess, till towards the end, end part till now, I have been feeling that now when I'm working, then when I after the fellowship, when I work with people from different disciplines in a team, collaborate on things, on projects or so, and I can see how that would that would work out. And yeah, there was this from the start, there was this thing that between theory and practice, and how also ways of thinking. So during the practica, we were kind of like repetitively kind of trained, or to look at things in a certain way, in certain steps, or also while during the commons also, while having closed reading of texts and everything. There's this vocabulary that was being built, or like a common vocabulary. So I mean, and which, like, towards the end, towards the electives, it was told, like, okay, like, these are certain things that IIHS uses, these are certain terminologies that IIHS uses, and they may not be used outside, they may or may not be used outside, but as frameworks to compare, or when we are working outside, to start from these frameworks, and explore more other frameworks, or kind of have that understanding, so that I think it's trained, like, it's now, like, the mind thinks in a certain, like, starts to think in a certain way, and then there's questions that, before questioning certain things. And then also how, like, for example, in the housing elective, like, towards the end, there was more, like, continuous reminders that, like, practice needs this, while approaching a certain situation. Practice would entail this, or to keep this in mind, to think as practitioners, and that was a little different from how, which was subtly there at the start, but more directly there at the end. So that, I think, that evolved, and kind of the mind has been trained in a certain way, but also there's more space for questioning that and working and exploring others based on it. I did feel that the structure, evolved well, and that it was well planned. So at certain points in the middle of each that term, there's like, okay, now I see why they must have put this here. Well, I think, like, so that was really, that worked out well. Although it did, like, especially in the commons term, feel that काफ़ी intensive हो गया था, and काफ़ी, it became a lot at one time. Especially because it was, like, COVID time and all of that, which was taken into consideration. There were, I think faculty and the fellows work around it together. But it did feel like for a 7-month thing, a lot was covered, which is great. There's a lot to learn, and it was very interesting. It still is. But, it could have been more paced in that way, but understandably so that it's a short program and that all of these needs to be covered. But, like, also, yeah, this is going specific towards the end, and also helping me find out my interest, or, like, where I'm going specific into interest, or also the OH with the faculty every now and then, to see where I, the dots that I carried with myself and how I connect them now, and how I continue to connect them, like, that kind of really helped. So I think that structure makes sense, why it is planned, and towards the end it makes much more sense. Like, I just feel it could have been, at some certain points more paced as such. Yeah. The sense of that community, or that kind of thing, like, so there, of course, there are ups and downs in that situation of living and working together, but I think, like, because of being involved into such an intensive program at together, and kind of, yeah, like, exploring together, sharing things together, that sense of community. Also, the time COVID came up, and like, people being there for each other in that everyday thing, and carrying, like, even after the fellowship, like, carrying certain friendships, carrying those bonds in some way, or learnings from each other in some way. I think that, like, people coming from different regions, having different stories, different lived experiences in one classroom, or in one hostel, how that has evolved and built over time, and just as a learning experience, a life kind of thing, as a memory itself. That sense of community, also the faculty being so emotionally invested. They've always been open. There have been things that have come up, for accountability, and the concerns that fellows have had, or concerns that faculty have had, and there has been those exchanges on concerns of accountability. But there's always, I've felt that there's been space from most of the faculty for that engagement and effort and emotional investment from their side. So I think that has also kind of helped in that sense of community as well. Yeah. The teams that were formed in the groups that were formed during the practica, we were from different disciplinary backgrounds, and for those couple of months to work together, and like from the start to go on the field, observe things like from the first day itself. Okay, we realized that we were observing with different eyes, with different thought processes, and we were seeing different things that were unseen for some people but were prominently seen for others. And to kind of understand where that like why someone was caring about something more, why they were trained in certain ways, and to see something more, and to kind of learn to incorporate those things in the way I see things, or to even question the way I see things, or what I see also, or what I don't see. So that aspect, and slowly, the way it evolved, uh, each of the presentations had a different expected outcome. So, um, like after working together, how we, what till what stage, like only like for the first one was observations, like presenting the observations mainly, and holding this yourself back from going further, and kind of having to practice that consistency and rigor in certain ways, and to question, okay, okay, this is what we feel, to have those negotiations, okay, ye rakhna hai, like to keep this, and not this, or what may be expected, what not, but also what we would want to as a team, because feel emotionally invested in, and would want to present in different ways also. So to also, like, I learned like different skills from the other team members, and I mean just the way like while having team discussions, and seeing different softwares, how they're working, or trying my hands-on kind of a experience at that time. I mean, I think the realization of that change was later on, towards the last presentation. But it did, like, it slowly evolved, and towards the last presentations, and we were more on to give propositions at the end, kind of thing. So also to see how practice would come into picture, how to not have a linear stepwise thing, but to see the multiple horizontal and interrelated steps, but to have to maintain a kind of rigor till the end. That, and yeah, I mean, just like those couple of months working together in different interdisciplinary kind of a team, working together, I think that evolved, like the training of the eye. Looking back, like in retrospect right now, it would majorly be how I'm able to, like, articulate more while working with an interdisciplinary team, or how I'm, like, able to understand certain aspects, like of maybe how a plan works, or how the terminologies used in systems, and what they mean, where they're coming from, and um, on the ground how they may translate. So also to see that, because I want to also work in activism ahead, and work, like working with communities, and that academia, that kind of there's always a distance there in the middle. So maybe, like, I think I've, like, started more to see how that academia could translate, that language could translate in the community part of it, or how, at least not translate, but how it needs to be seen in both ways. And like, because I was coming from like, I've worked with communities before, so but like, but to incorporate academia, and then the terminologies, and the concepts, and how, like, to, like, how they're so interlinked and all of it, but the language that I use, that the emic and the etic, and how that. So I think that I have also, while working with a team and using terminologies from different disciplines, because while they to understand and also to articulate in my explanation, that has been one thing that has that I have, I think, gained. Like, if coming with an expectation, to come with an expectation of an experience itself, and seeing how it goes, but also questioning it at different times, having that conversation, how you feel about it, or to hold accountability like within ourselves and the institution and the faculty at different times, however it goes, because there are a lot of ups and downs in that experience itself, but also like that learning and unlearning and sharing of experiences, it changes you in some way. I mean, for different people it may be in different ways, but it changes you, and I think that parts will stay for a certain time or get incorporated ahead in different ways. But just for the sake of that experience of how the structure is and how the, I mean, just like getting to know different people from different backgrounds and, learning and working with them, exchanging ideas and exchanging different ways of approaching things and working on things, different things that we care about, or that that you would be interested in exploring and learning, are curious about. So there's all like, I feel like there's always that one person in all of the faculty and all of the teams that whatever like, specific interest if also you have, and even if that's not like covered majorly in the structure, but to have a certain kind of guidance or conversation with any of the faculty members about it. So like, yeah, and also like with other fellows themselves, to have conversations about your certain interests or certain ways of like working on things ahead, or how these things work in different in each person's eyes. So like, yeah, that experience of also living together, that may be different for different people, but yeah, to come for that experience and with curiosity, but also to hold accountability within and towards the institution. Yeah.